Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So one of my viewers asked me if I could do a video comparing dehumidifiers and window air conditioners for scrap value. Which one of them is worth more as scrap value in terms of copper and overall scrap value when I add up all the other items inside of both of them. The nice thing about air conditioners as well as dehumidifiers is that you will find them all the time on garbage day, but my number one rule before I scrap anything, I do check to see if it works. I have found a number of dehumidifiers that have been workable, great condition. I've either sold them or donated them, and you are definitely going to get more money selling them in good workable condition than breaking them down for scrap value. The other point I do need to mention is that both air conditioners as well as dehumidifiers are actually illegal to cut the copper line because there is a freon or gas inside of them or liquid that once that copper is cut, that gas will escape into the atmosphere. So it is illegal to release that gas, so you do need to have a professional to come in. I do store mine up. I will have someone come in and flush them all at once, so it's definitely easier, cuts down on cost, but they are definitely great things and you do not want to pass up on these because of the scrap value of these. As you can see, I have already taken them both apart and I will upload or share in my description the links to actually show both of these in separate videos, taking them apart from beginning to end. So what I've done here is just separate the material just to speed it up. I do have also the current prices for all of these, and I am going to talk about how much each are and show you what is inside of both of them. So here we go. The first thing I do want to say is that both of these have a lot of similar parts, and the prices that I am using are actually today, September 16th prices in London, Ontario. And it is very interesting to note that even from my last video that was a week ago, the prices on some of these items has significantly dropped. So the first thing, for example, that I do want to show, one of the greatest things about these dehumidifiers I'll start with, is they always have two beautiful copper aluminum radiators inside of them. And they do have on the ends some really nice number 2 copper that I've already cut off. These copper radiators as is are going right now for $1.05 a pound in London, Ontario. Last week, these were actually going for $1.95. So it is important as a scrapper to look at the prices, check on them regularly. And again, because I've seen it at $1.90 and now it has dropped almost $1, I am going to hold on to these. I'm in no rush to take them in. And I'm hoping obviously that the prices rise again. But just right here alone, I have my scale from just this dehumidifier. These two grills right here alone. I'm just going to set this up and show you. Right here I have, okay, once it sets up at 0, there is 4 pounds, 12 ounces right there on this one. And just to show you the difference, this one I do have to take the little bit of steel off there because I have cut the copper. But look at the difference. This is from the air conditioner, and I just want to compare the size of this one to this one. Look at the size difference. So there is this large air conditioner one right here. This came right out of this one, as well as a smaller one here. And these two combined weigh about 6 pounds, 6 ounces. So right there, as I said, there's about 10 pounds just in these two worth of copper radiators that I'm going to get if it was $1 a piece. I do want to show you as well the air conditioner one. Look at all of the gunk on here that has kind of blocked the intake, so could have been a reason why it stopped working, but a lot of gunk on that I have to take off. But the nice thing about these as well is you do have two options. Some people will leave the copper on there. I won't. I have actually cut it. So these are the copper tubes, if you will, that came out of the dehumidifier. And I do separate them because these ones, as you can see, if I put this one, compare this one to this one, these ones right here by nature are going to be classified as number 2 copper. And that's because these have soldering on them. Any type of copper that has soldering or paint or oil like this is going to be classified as number 2 copper, and is currently going right now for $3.50 a pound. And even though these ones right here have been put through that oil or gas liquid stuff, I am still just going to actually put them into soap water solution. I will clean them, and because they do not have any soldering on them, I'm going to get number 1 price, which is about $3.80 a pound. This is from the air conditioner. So I do have bigger tubes here. These ones obviously came out of the bigger radiator there, so larger, but just gonna weigh these right here. I'm gonna weigh them just for the sake of this as all is number 1 price. So there is 5.3 ounces there. And again, like I said, even though I am gonna have these as number 1, I'm just gonna put them all together to speed this up. I've got about 9 ounces there, so probably about 7 ounces combined. About 14 ounces right there, just in the prongs here. And as I said, you can see inside of there, they are a little bit oily, but I will just rinse them with some oil water. Again, there are a lot of similar parts. Both of these also have a beautiful compressor. And both of these compressors, this one here, as well as this one, are both actually about 22 pounds of compressor. And I can bring the compressors in whole, and I will get paid per weight. It's about 16 cents a pound to 23 cents a pound for the whole thing. So good weight for that, but it is well worth your time opening them. And I will also include a link in the description to show you how to open these. Very easy to do. All I actually do, you can see these are the cylindrical ones. I will actually go from the bottom, cut around it with a grinder. I will open it with a spot like this, just to speed it up. And I notice once this comes off, if I take this piece of steel off, the copper motor that is left here will come out a lot easier. And I have already taken one out. And they do come in different sizes. If I take these up to the camera, you can see both of these. The steel is a lot larger on this one, but we'll see about the copper. This copper, again, is also going to be number 2 copper. You can see inside, I've already cut it. Just this little piece alone, about 10 ounces right there. This is actually all of it that comes out of the air conditioner. I've already taken it. Here is the large amount. Look at that beautiful copper. This right here weighs 2 pounds, 4 ounces just as is. And I just want to make sure that I get every strand. So all I actually have to do for the rest of this is just take a punch and knock out the rest of this. So I'm definitely going to get about 2 pounds worth of copper from both of these. I might get a couple more ounces from the air conditioner. But the great thing about these as well is that they still also have the rest of this shell. This is also going to go into my tin. And if I just weighed this alone, this right here weighs 6 pounds for tin price. And tin right now is going for about 8 cents a pound. So the rest of this shell is also going to go into tin. Doesn't matter if there's oil on it, it's still going to go in there, which is great. As well, both of these items have a motor. This dehumidifier had a small motor like this. Okay, so here's the motor. This would go with the little fan, and the fan I have somewhere. I think it's behind this air conditioner. So the little fan came out of here as well. The nice thing, this too, once I cut it, that is copper. So there's about a pound of copper from this dehumidifier with that once I open that up. And the nice thing about this copper, because it's going into number 2, I don't have to take off the little pieces of string there. I do have to take the little bit of wire off there, but some really nice copper. The one thing you do want to make sure you've noticed though is you do want to make sure you do the scratch test before you start breaking open these motors. This motor, beautiful big motor, came out of this air conditioner. Look at the size of this in terms of comparison. A lot bigger. However, once I did the scratch test before I actually took my grinder and opened it, I took a scratch and unfortunately it revealed right there, you can see that metallic look. A lot of motors now look to be copper, but if you scratch them and they reveal a metallic look underneath, they are actually aluminum. So because these are aluminum windings, I am not going to cut it open. I am going to leave it as is, and I'm just going to throw this whole thing into my tin. And if I weigh just this piece right here, this is actually 4.8 pounds plus the lid. So this is probably 7.5 pounds right here of more tin. So unfortunately, again, this was not copper. It would be great if it was at $3.50 a pound, but better than nothing with tin price. And the other thing, as I said, you definitely want to check. You have to make sure you do the scratch test. Don't want to waste your time with this. If I was to throw this into my copper motors and they found out that it was aluminum or discovered it, very easy to do for them, I am going to get downgraded significantly. So you definitely want to make sure you check and separate them. The other nice thing about both dehumidifiers and air conditioners is they have an extremely large amount of copper tube that runs from the compressor all the way through it to the radiators. So here, right here is some beautiful copper. And this right here, as is, would be classified, unfortunately, as number 2 copper. And that's because there is a lot of soldering right here on it. But there is a lot of copper here that could be number 1. And all I would have to do actually is just cut this piece where the soldering connects. The rest of this is going to be number 1, and just these little pieces would be number 2. So this smaller stuff came out of the dehumidifier. The copper that came out of the air conditioner here, it is a little bit thicker, but definitely have to remove all of your little plastic stuff off of here. There is a little bit of plastic I have to remove. Sometimes there is tape. It just comes off. But this definitely has to be taken off to upgrade this. But again, pretty significant amount of copper. And it might just weigh a little bit more than the dehumidifier, but not much. So if I looked at just this first one here, I've got a scale here again. I've got about 1.5 pounds right there, so probably 3 pounds between the two of them. Another thing I did want to make sure I mentioned with the compressors is you do want to check the side cylindrical piece. I have seen these both came off of them. This is off the air conditioner. Look at the size difference of those. Both of these, I have had to take a magnet to them. Both of them are magnetic, so both of these are going to be steel. But you do want to be careful because some of these are actually painted black, but they are copper. So I do have some that are copper. I don't get them often, but you will still see them. And you definitely want to make sure you check, because if it is copper, you're getting probably another 9 to 15 ounces, depending on the size of it. This would be very heavy and big. If it was a piece of copper, it would be great. But it would be number 2 because it is painted black. But again, both of these are magnetic, so they are both going to go into my tin. You do want to also make sure you get every little piece of copper that comes off there. There are connectors on here. If I take this up to the camera, you can see there is copper that goes right to the steel. And all I do to make sure I get as close as I can, I'll just put a magnet to it. Once it starts becoming magnetic, I will cut just before that. So I did cut or waste a little bit of copper, but not much. The other thing as well about these, you do, and I should have said this in terms of safety, both your air conditioner and your dehumidifier are going to have small capacitors like this, and you definitely want to make sure you discharge these first. They can hold or potentially hold a small charge, and very easy to do. Once you open them up, all I do is I will take a pair of pliers or type of side cutters that have a rubberized handle, and I will just touch the connectors. Once I've touched one connector to the other, it will kind of release the charge and they'll be safe to handle. I do explain that in my teardown of both of these, so definitely something you want to check. And I have not been shocked. I have handled probably almost 100 of these, but again, there is never, it only takes one, so you definitely want to take precaution in anything you do. but that is definitely something you have to do. So these capacitors, in terms of scrap value, I have seen some people open these up. These outer casings are aluminum. This one is. There are some that are magnetic that are steel, but some people will open these up and take this and put it into clean aluminum. I don't, because once you open that cap, there is oil inside of it. It is very messy, and they are very light, so there's not much in here. So I actually just take these to a drop-off facility, or there is a category to scrapyard, and it's like 2 cents a pound. So it's not much, but it's definitely better than nothing, and it's definitely better than going to the landfill. As well, outside of these, this air conditioner, actually the power cord was cut, but this dehumidifier had a beautiful power cord to it, as well as the inner parts to it. This cord right here would be classified as your 40% appliance wire, and this right now is actually going for $1.06 a pound right now. So $1.20 a pound for 40% appliance wire. And the reason we call this 40% is because scrapyards will look at plastic to copper ratio and copper recovery. Because this has an outer coating of plastic, and you can see right here, there's 3 individual strands of coated copper. There is more plastic to this, less copper, so we got 40%. If I was just to have these 3 inner coatings here, there is only 1 coating of plastic on each, so that is less plastic, more copper. So these right here would be going, just like these ones, would be going for 60% appliance wire. And this currently right now is going for $1.90 a pound. So you definitely want to make sure you separate it. This stuff right here, very easy to do. All I actually have to do is slide this jacket off like this. This jacket is going to go into the garbage now. And all of this wire here, I can actually now just put right into my 60%. So very easy to do sometimes. A lot better than obviously just putting it together. But word of caution, you definitely want to separate it as you were going along with your scrapping. I made a mistake a couple years ago. I had all my cords all together, and when it came time to go to the scrapyard and separate it, it took me about 2 or 3 hours just to separate the stuff because I had so much of it. So if you're doing it on the way, make sure it speeds up the process. And I also make sure I use strong bags like feed bags or grass seed bags because they definitely can add up in weight. I have a bag behind me of actually 40% appliance wire that weighs 76 pounds. So good thing I have a grass seed bag because it's heavy and durable and it's not going to break. So that's good. The other thing, both of these do have a really nice circuit board like this that have a small transformer. The transformers will have a little bit of copper like this. There's about 4 ounces of number 2 copper on both of these. So again, good thing there. As well as this one has 6 relay boxes here. This one has 2 big ones and 3 little ones. These have a small spool of copper in them as well. If I take this, put it up to the side, just a minute, there we go. So a small spool, not much, but it still adds up. As well, there might be some copper prongs in there, as well as some silver contacts like this. I will cut this silver off, put it into a vial, but these prongs are going to be copper as well. This copper, even though it looks nice and shiny, it is still going to be number 2 copper because number 2 copper is copper wire that is thinner than 16 gauge, which is the thickness of the lead of a pencil. So all of this is number 2. This copper, little bit of copper, I can throw that sheet copper into my number 1. Again, very small, but it all adds up, as I said. As well, this circuit board does have 2 small little aluminum heat sinks, painted heated aluminum heat sinks, which are currently going for about $1.60 a pound. There's definitely not a pound here, but that too adds up, as well as the 2 prongs back here. These prongs are going to be number 2 copper as well. So there's definitely some value on these circuit boards as well. Some people will just bring them in as is and get about 5 cents a pound or 10 cents a pound for e-waste. And again, in all of my videos, definitely separating the materials off circuit boards, well worth your time. And for places that I take it to, going to make a lot more separating the material than bringing this in whole and getting e-waste priced for the weight. So the last thing that I will talk about to address the question that I had for overall scrap value, this body is significantly plastic. This body, the nice thing about this is the whole entire frame of this is tin as well. If I take the top off, this is plastic. This whole bottom part is tin as well. It weighs 17 pounds with the bottom and all these parts to it. So the nice thing about this, I'm gonna get more money for the tin. The plastic, obviously, there is no value for that. But both of these are great scrappable items. And other than the tin frame there, as well as the bottom, most of these are very, very similar. So definitely, like I said, both of them probably range, give or take, might get a couple more dollars for the air conditioner just because of the size of the radiator in this one. But there are different size air conditioners. So this one was a larger unit. I have seen smaller ones. As well, I have seen smaller and larger units of dehumidifiers. So in answer to that question, it all depends on the size of the appliance, I guess, or the unit that I'm using. But I will say both of them, very good scrappable material. Lots of copper in both of them. You definitely want to make sure you do the scratch test. But this one, as I said, air conditioners do have an outer steel frame. Older dehumidifiers, I have seen the ones that look almost like a wood panel. They actually are made of tin as well. So again, it depends on the model, depends on the year it was made. So I can't really give an exact number on which one is worth more because these two, given the size of it, this one was larger and heavier from the get-go. So it was worth more just comparing these two. But again, it depends on the one that I'm scrapping. So excellent question. Hope that answered it. Again, great items. Definitely want to get these. I just actually found 2 more dehumidifiers last week on garbage day. So you do find them often. Unfortunately, again, someone did cut the cord first, so I can't see if they work. But there's definitely going to be some great goodies inside. I'll save them up, flush them when I have a whole bunch again. But get that copper, get these, as quick as you can because the copper is definitely worth its weight. Definitely want to make sure you do the scratch test to make sure it is copper. Thanks again for the question. Please keep them coming. I will answer the best I can. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.